Eritrea Afar Hangit Kobodui EANC
مديري دنكالي الدونو عصبك مسوعات يا دي ساحلي حالي مرسبة مراكبك مفدقا دنكالي اي وحيسري قال لي قرمو
Dankalia hangi yahan barnaamiji Eritrea Afaratiya Kenya samad baysay Dankalia tudcike tumciiti rakaakay siyaasa ke Afar sarrimani gixilo gugus wagita malay buxurutin ka daydayo sunahnan barnaamiji EANC Facebook ke YouTube gita kane katatan malay maskadal kuisin arxibisin صعب لباحة الحلين أننا إلى نقرس نوعد على تاريخ حبني يا ماليلا نويا يبدي مرسو 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 ماليلا نويا ونحسما فردال الليا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا بدل السكت تاريخ لمنيا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا يا عرم قادر الليا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا مالي عند الغوري لنيا يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا 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 يبدي مرسو ماليلا نويا.
Very happy that we are joined today by a delegation of the Afar people. Some have come from Canada, some have come here from Brussels, from other places, because it is a conversation that we also need to have. The situation of the Afar is incredibly hard, even within the context of the Eritrean people's situation being probably the worst condition today on this earth. And so with that, I'm very proud to give the floor to my dear colleague, also an academician, working at the University of Ottawa, and who works with the Afar people, and who will address today this congregation to talk to us how they've reflected on this process of peace and what that should mean for a dignified future for the people of the Afar. Professor Magnet, can I give you the floor?
All right, well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's my honor and my privilege to be again among my Eritrean friends. I'm looking forward to sharing with you some Afar perspectives on recent developments in the Horn. I want to acknowledge the wonderful work that Professor Van Riesen has done to bring us all together here to work on shared goals. It is huge, heavy lifting to do what she's done, and it is an admirable accomplishment and achievement to have made this happen. And I and we all are very, very grateful to you for your efforts and your success. I also want to acknowledge that as I'm speaking, we are streaming live to our Afar communities in Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Eritrea. And I want to say a very, very warm hello. We are with you. We are working for you, to our Afar friends in difficult situations in these countries. Let me begin by telling you something about the Afar consensus and the Afar political program today. The Afar consensus took shape in 2010 when 1,000 Afar elders, clan leaders, political leaders gathered in Samara to condemn Eritrea's atrocities against the Afar and to demand in Eritrea Afar autonomy, self-government, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Together, we shaped these demands into an Afar political program for a reformed Eritrean constitution. This program received unanimous Afar support, which has been attested to by thousands and thousands of Afar signatures from around the world. This consensus has been consistently reaffirmed by Afar diaspora communities since 2010, most recently at an Afar Unity Conference in Sweden in June of this year. The fundamental principles of the Afar consensus are that Afar invite other Eritrean nationalities to establish in Eritrea a democratic rule of law regime that respects the human rights of all. Afar demand self-government for Dankalia within an Eritrean federation. All national communities must be equal in Eritrea. The Constitution must protect the Afar language, culture, way of life, and economy. All refugees must have the right to return and to be restored to their lands, businesses, properties, and to have Eritrean citizenship. To sum this up, Afar demand a power-sharing constitution, help to return Afar refugees home, and fair compensation to those victims of persecution. The Afar leadership asked my small team to bring the Afar case to the attention of the world community. And high Eritrean officials made to Afar sultans. We backed it up with corroborating analysis of 22,000 intake reports, which Eritrea, you've just heard from ARA, which ARA did from incoming refugees, and other documentary sources, and more. In other words, speaking as a litigator, we backed up these allegations with a mountain of evidence to persuade the authorities of what was happening. The UN established various entities, including a special rapporteur, a commission of inquiry, which investigated our allegations and sustained them on every single point, including murders, mass graves with bones sticking out, verified by a flyover, ethnic cleansing of the Afar in a widespread and routine manner for more than a generation. The findings of the UN entities detail with great specificity the crimes that Eritrea and Eritrean officials have committed against the Afar. The UN entities concluded that these crimes are so serious that they amount to crimes against humanity and threaten world peace. They recommended that the Security Council of the United Nations refer these crimes to the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court and to national authorities for prosecutorial action. If and when that happens, as legal counsel to the victims and former prosecutor, I will prosecute the Eritrean criminals. Eritrea's crimes were examined again in June and October of this year based on new information which we submitted by the Special Rapporteur. The Special Rapporteur found that Eritrea's crimes are ongoing, that they are continuing now as we speak. Importantly, the Special Rapporteur detailed ethnic cleansing of the Afar from their traditional homeland in and around the Eritrean port of Asab. The Special Rapporteur's conclusion that Afar is traditional Afar territory is backed up by various scholarly disciplines from linguistics to anthropology, cultural geography. There is a scholarly consensus that the Afar people have inhabited the lands and waters around Asab for almost 2,000 years. Eritrea persecuted the Asab. The crimes against the Afar are Eritrean crimes. They are not Ethiopian crimes. But Ethiopia now proposes to use the very same lands which were taken by these crimes to pay the criminals for using stolen Afar lands and to profit itself from using this criminal plunder. All the while the crimes are ongoing today as we're talking. International criminal law, consistent with common sense, does not allow for this. The international criminal law system would impose criminal liability upon people who permit, support, assist, or provide the means for the crimes. The international criminal law statutes and precedents would capture Ethiopian officials as accessories to Eritrean crimes when, as is the case in this situation, the Ethiopian officials are aware of Eritrea's persecution of the Afar, know that the crimes are ongoing, pay the criminals to use the stolen Afar lands by violent means, and intend to profit itself from the plundered lands and waters. All of these conditions are met here. Ethiopia voted to accept the Commission of Inquiry reports and the Special Rapporteur reports which make these findings. Dr. Rabi has done a wonderful, transformative thing that Afar people support. He has liberalized press freedoms, freed political prisoners, opened space for political competition, reframed ethnic relations, appointed a respected human rights lawyer as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. There are two roads that lead to Asab for Ethiopia. One road, which I've just outlined, paying to use the plunder of Eritrea's crimes, is a criminal road. We hope Dr. Rabi will not walk down that road. A second road leads through the disrupted status quo and the new mix of interests and opportunities that the present situation presents. It's an uncertain road. It's a road less traveled. Embarking on it would require Ethiopia to use its access, its power, and its leverage in Asmara to stop the crimes, to prepare the ground for voluntary return of the persecuted victims to their homes and businesses, and to seek partners to try to engineer the disrupted status quo into a new Eritrean reality. There are 40,000 Afar victims now in Ethiopian refugee camps and towns. This is a picture of Asaita refugee camp in Ethiopia, where my colleagues and I have visited many times. These people could and should be trained to work in the renovated Asab port and in the associated service industries and businesses that will be necessary to support what Ethiopia proposes to do. If Ethiopia can use its access, power, and leverage to stimulate the right conditions, the Afar could return to Eritrea voluntarily. Europe has interest in this. If this proposal works for the Afar, it could work to contain and reverse the Eritrean migration to Europe, which Europe is concerned about. The monies from the Khartoum process, from the European Trust, could and should be re-engineered and retooled and refocused for this, to create in Eritrea conditions so that people will not be motivated to leave. No one is going to voluntarily return to Eritrea without reliable guarantees of personal security, prophylaxis against indefinite national service, and reasonable prospects for the enjoyment of human rights and a job. Every effort should be made in the new situation to engage Eritrea to these ends. The situation is new, it is fluid, and in it there are opportunities to pursue this which has not been possible in the past. We encourage Ethiopia to walk down this second transformative road. If Eritrea can be persuaded to cooperate, criminal prosecution may not be the right method for accountability to deal with the Eritrean criminals. Truth and reconciliation machinery could be considered as a supplement or alternative to criminal prosecution, if the right conditions are created. If Eritrean officials are recalcitrant, Western governments should be quick to initiate procedures that will bring the Eritrean officials to an interview with the people pictured on this slide, and should purchase a one-way ticket for that interview. The United Nations agency have already recommended that they be referred to the International Criminal Court for prosecution. We believe that the Afar have the right model for Eritrea's future. Power sharing, equality of nationalities, rule of law, democracy, human rights. Our model has unanimous support among the Afar. We hope that the many talented people in this room from other Eritrean nationalities will be persuaded to join us. We ask our European friends, stop paying the Eritreans and the Sudanese to seal their borders. Use that money, that leverage, and that access to work in the disrupted status quo to transform the Eritrean reality. Implant in Eritrea thousands of young, educated, trained, ready to work Afar who will occupy positions in the revived port industry and associated business and services, and fertilize those to grow. We hope you will work with us. Our cause is just, our vision is transformative and possible, our successes to date show what we can do together, and our will to continue is unshakable. Thank you very much.
Eritrea Afar Hangit Koborui EANC